Hey, welcome everybody to the Petty Crew Radio Show. It's your boy Boss Hogg, host of the Petty Crew Radio Show, and as usual in the building, I have my ride or die Diamond all the way from San Antonio. What's good, Diamond?
Hey, it's Diamond, and I'm glad to be here. It's a beautiful day.
So, with that being said, man, again, thank everybody for tuning in. Come on in again. I'm your boy Boss Hogg in the building. My co-host Diamond. Please make sure you like. Please make sure you share today's show. We have a great show lined up for you guys. So listen, let's jump right into it. Over the past week, we've been having a couple of things that have been going on. First and foremost, CD says it's okay for fully vaccinated people to gather without masks. Also, we're going to be talking about Keri Hilson. You guys remember her? She's a singer. She says um, even if she gets married, she would like to or have no problem living in a separate home than her husband. Yeah, let me say that again. Keri Hilson says even if she gets married, she would have no problem if her and her husband lived in two separate homes. That's some crazy shit that I definitely want to get into. We also go talk about um, Oklahoma announcer who was caught on a hot mic. His mic was not off, and he's calling some girl basketball players the N word, but he did not know it. So we're going to talk about that. And we're going to wrap up the show talking about a transgender male who basically, I guess, wrote a letter to Ebony saying, my husband doesn't know I'm trans. Definitely want to jump into that. Let me say that again. My husband doesn't know he's a trend. So with that being said, we're gonna go on and jump right into today's show. Like I said, man, the CDC has said that people who are fully vaccinated are able to get together or gather together without masks. Um, Again, we are in the middle of a pandemic. The world is in the middle of the pandemic, and so I am on the fence. I'm a little skeptical about the CDC's guidelines. And this is not a big issue here, man. Diamond, what do you think before I get my little old thoughts about this?
So, I'm like you. I'm a little skeptical with the guidelines because it just seems like all of a sudden, how do y'all just keep changing this? And I get we're still into researching, which is why the last show I said an experiment, because every time you turn around, they're adding new things. And it kind of makes me wonder, okay, is this really okay? Or is this something you're just saying? And the reason I say that is because we have been told if you even being fully vaccinated, you still need to wear your mask to prevent from getting it. So why is it that when I get around another person that has been fully vaccinated, I couldn't take it off because those people have still been around other people besides me and vice versa. I've still been around other people, so we've still been in different situations and scenarios. I'm sure where we've been with people who are not fully vaccinated. So I feel like, until there's a complete control of this pandemic, which we don't have control of, that whether you're fully vaccinated or not, you should still be wearing your mask when you're with people outside of the home. For me, example, being a school teacher, they're not even vaccinating children. So I'm always going to be around people that are not fully vaccinated. So I don't feel like the fact that I do that, that I should come around someone else that maybe even if they've been fully vaccinated, I still don't feel like I should be all willy nilly just taking off my mask and thinking, oh, we both been vaccinated because we still have both been around other people who have not. So
Mm-hmm.
there's still a lot of precautions that need to take place until we have more data and we know, okay, this is what this is, and we've just stopped the overall spread. Like, we have not said yet, hey, this pandemic is over. We're out of this pandemic. We're 1 year into this pandemic. That's where we are right now. We are exactly 1 year into this pandemic. As a matter of fact, today is Sunday before my spring break ends. This time last year, when I hit Sunday, I was not going back to work. because this pandemic was getting started. However, I am going back to work tomorrow, but we are still under a pandemic and we still have a lot of guidelines that we need to follow. So I think, that to me, we still need to be cautious. And I think
Right.
that's letting up because you tell some people stuff and they just gonna take it too far.
Right. With that being said, everybody who's just now tuning in right now, we're talking about the CDC. Uh, is saying that it is okay for uh, people who are fully vaccinated to gather together, even gather together without having masks. And as Diamond was saying, and I also agree, I am looking with or taking the CDC's recommendations with a grain of salt because it's just not the United States that's in the middle of a pandemic, it's the world that's in the middle of a pandemic. And I think that's something that we need to recognize. Even if the country was to become fully vaccinated, and we're going to say within the next 2 months, there are more people in the world than the United States. And so, with people who are flying and coming and have relatives who are, from different countries, from different states, and we're intermingling with each other, there's still a possibility to transmit this virus. I don't believe that there's enough data to support the CDC's recommendation and stamp of approval. Let me put it like that. And for you guys who want to look this up, this was from the AP News. Matter of fact, March the 8th, and it's entitled Fully Vaccinated People Can Gather Without Masks, CDC says. What I would tell people is, man, that you need to just err on the side of caution. I continue to say, and I'm going to continue to say, we're not going to get back to normal until 2025. Put that on the calendar. Say Boss Hogg said it in 2021. I'm making it very clear that we will not get back to normal until 2025. What do I mean by normal? By 2025, pretty much majority of the world should be fully vaccinated. Majority. Not only that, by that time, we should have a better understanding and data to better handle this pandemic. For you guys who are following the news, we don't have just one strand of COVID. We have multiple strands of COVID that is looming across the country. And so until we fully eradicated this pandemic, this virus, you're going to have to stay cautious. You're going to have to continue to protect yourself. What we do know is we know that people who were vaccinated can still catch COVID. I mean, we know that because we've seen people who turn around who've been vaccinated, then they turn around and get COVID again. China had been warning us way ahead of time that people who were once had it, got rid of it, were getting COVID again. And so again, until we have fully eradicated this virus, keep a mask on. You you look at video from China, man, them folks are still wearing masks. And so again, protect yourselves at all costs. This is not the okay to be out and about without your mask if you're going to a party. This is not the situation. They're saying people, in other words, my mama, me, my daddy, my children, we're talking about a group of people who have been vaccinated. Well, like Diamond said, we haven't even started testing kids yet. No, I take that back. We are. But they have not rolled out a vaccine for children. And so we don't even know right now how many children are even carrying the virus. We know children can catch it. We know children are passing it, but we don't know the full extent of what these children are passing along. And so, again, like I said, 2025 will more than likely be when we are kind of back to normal. I understand what Joe Biden was saying. I like the fact that it's going to be available to everybody by May the 1st. And I hope, again, I can't stress enough, use common sense. Use whatever data that is present for you to make a wise decision on taking the vaccine. And again, man, we just wanted to highlight that. That doesn't mean that's okay for you Negroes to be Negroes. Don't be out there doing the most. Don't be out in people's face because you don't even know you have it. So again, with that being said, just err on the side of caution. Make sure you're still protecting yourself at all costs. So let's go on and keep it moving, because that was just the lightweight part of the show, just to kind of open up the show. It's going to get a little bit sillier with a lot of what's going on, man. Also, like I said, up in Oklahoma, there was an announcer and a couple of announcers who were caught with an open mic. And this is from ABC News. It says high school sports announcer caught calling girls basketball team racial slur as players kneel during the anthem. An Oklahoma sports announcer was captured doing a live stream directing racial slurs and explicit toward members of a girls' high school basketball team who were kneeling during the national anthem. F them, I hope they lose. One of the announcers can be heard saying, apparently not realizing his mic was audible on the live broadcast. They're going to kneel like that? Hell no. Effing niggers, basically what he said. The announcer later says toward the end of the anthem. And I'm going to go with one of the apologists, man, and we're going to jump right into it. So, of course, they eventually found out that they were live. And as a lot of Caucasian Americans like to do, they would like to not hold themselves accountable and blame it on everything else but them. With that being said, one of the announcers had the audacity to make the apology and say he blames it on his diabetes, his low sugar, which caused him to say those words toward this girl's basketball team. Diamond, talk to me. Come on, I want to know what you're thinking.
Man, I'm gonna be honest with you. All I can do is laugh at this one because, first of all, racism is racism. It is what it is. He got caught, and as what usually happens, you get caught with your hand in the cookie jar. Then you want to deflate. You want to change the situation and play the blame game and blame it on someone else when it's you. You made the racial comment. You made the racial slurs. It had nothing to do with your diabetes or anything else. Because if you was having diabetes issues, why were you even there at that moment? If your diabetes were bothering you that severe that you're talking off the side of your head, you should be at the doctor's office. Because that means at that moment your diabetes are not under control, and you actually should be somewhere at the doctor's office and you don't even know what you're saying and you just randomly blabbing. And of course, I don't believe that was true. I believe you figured out whatever you thought might will work and say, oh, it's my diabetes. At the end of the day, that's how they felt. They got caught saying it, and now they're trying to justify why they're saying it, which is what usually happens when media gets caught saying things they shouldn't. When they get caught with their racial slurs and they're trying to backpedal their way out of it, at the end of the day, they said what they said and they mean what they said. And there is absolutely no excuse. There is no excuse for using the racial slurs that you use, using those words. Diabetes, no diabetes. There's absolutely no excuse. In fact, it's funny to me that that's the only excuse you could even come up with was to say your diabetes. Like, dude, you're not even good at putting stories together. It's just hilarious that in this day and time that I continually say that we're still going through such racial tension in the United States.
Well, I'm not surprised, and I'm going to read his apology. The announcer released a statement to several local news outlets, including the Norman Transcript and the Frontier, apologizing for his racist remark, which he blamed on being a type 1 diabetic and a spiked blood sugar level. Listen, as I continue to say every time I bring up these stories, and again, we are a black show, so I don't make apologies for bringing light to these issues in which we face on a regular basis. I do this because I want us to understand that this fight will continue on. Racism is so ingrained in these people that we're fighting all of this injustice and this racism on every hand. Again, never once said that he wasn't racist. He just said,
You're right.
I just blame me speaking out the side of my mouth on the fact that I got type 1 diabetes and a spike in my blood sugar levels. And I'm not a doctor, but I'm sure a doctor would not say that that's going to cause you to use racial slurs that, if anything, if you was out of your mind, you would have been slurring in just your conversation in general, um, instead of directing your hate toward people who are kneeling. And again, this is what we deal with on a regular basis. The question I want people to think about is, how many times do we really speak to people of Caucasian folks who smile with us, laugh with us? Because I'm sure if those little black girls were not kneeling and after the game and they won, he would probably congratulate them. You see what I'm saying? But underneath all of this, that we have Caucasian Americans who deep within them feel the way they feel toward us. And like I said once before, that's problematic because for a lot of these Caucasian Americans, they're our doctors. They're who we do business with. We patronize their businesses. I mean, and it's like we're stuck in a catch-22 situation. Depending on what we're doing, you either like us or you hate us. Tammy Owen said he pulled that straight out of his ass. I hope lawyers didn't advise him to spew that BS. Well, I'm sure they didn't, Miss Tammy. Thank you again for tuning in and being a part of the conversation. It is unacceptable. I do believe since the time that this news story broke, they are being called, and it's called the NFHS network, are being called to cancel their contract because of what transpired. And of course, man, listen, we're in the world of social media. People catch on quick because it started hitting on Twitter. Like somebody tweeted who was at the game, like, hey, man, I guess apparently you don't know your mic is still on. And of course, anytime there's some type of racial issue going on, it's going to spread like wildfire. And so again, also we got to know the history of Oklahoma. Oklahoma is the same state who drove out a lot of the Indians. So again, are we surprised at who make up the communities within Oklahoma? I have friends. My mentor is from Oklahoma, man, and he tells the same stories. And so in Oklahoma, racism is real. You have to definitely be careful where you are. And it's sad that even in 2021, we still are experiencing these type of issues. Diamond, if you were in the position as the school superintendent or in a position to where you can make change, what were some of the things that you would make changes to regarding just announcers in general?
What would be as far as announcers? There would definitely be a change. I would make sure I have a diverse group of announcers for one. But also having those conversations with them just to understand like where they are when they're announcing these games and are they educated on what's going on. I would also reiterate to them that hey, this is not the time or place for your personal views. You're here to announce on this and this is what we're talking about. I'm not necessarily looking to discriminate anyone, but in today's time, it's very apparent that the conversations are necessary. A lot of conversations that have not been happening concerning making sure that people are aware that we need diversity for all cultures. Of course, I'm an African American. Of course, I believe Black Lives Matter. I do to the fullest extent. But also, as someone in that type of leadership position, I have to be aware of my whole cultural dynamics in the community and the children I'm serving. So I would have to make sure that I have a diverse group of announcers and just making sure that, hey, you're culturally aware of where you are and who you're working with. And I think that's very important. Honestly, it's kind of funny you asked me that question because I have a college professor They kind of made a comment to me that we were going back and forth on a particular project, and the comment that he made assumed that I worked in a rich school. My school does not have the things that he was telling me I needed to do with my school. And I reached out like, hey, this right here is something I can't do because of this, this, and this. Here are some other options I have came up with and other people who have been in this same situation from talking to them. And these are some options that they gave me. And of course, he wasn't one of us. He was one of them. And I was like, it's very ironic that you just assume that I work in this ritzy school that I don't. I work in a Title One school. So what you're asking me to do at this time, because you're telling me to do it with my school, is impossible because I don't have that dynamic of what you're looking for. So I think as leaders, that's something we have to be aware of. I remember working at the Boys and Girls Club, and there's this man. He's very known in the Boys and Girls community in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, Amo Compton. And that was one of the biggest lessons I learned from him was about diversity and understanding and being culturally aware of those around me and making sure that I was sensitive to their needs and making sure that I understood that, and I think that's important. And that's one of the major things that we do not do. And we allow people to just say any and everything. And at some point, it's never been acceptable. It's not acceptable. And we have to continue the fight and letting them know, hey, that's not acceptable. We're not that generation that's going to allow you to keep degrading us.
Right. Well, again, you got to look where it was. It was in Oklahoma. Not only was it in Oklahoma, let's be real. Let's look at the dynamic of who we're trying to educate on some form of change. These are probably from the top to bottom Caucasian Americans,
right?
White people who are in these positions to speak to this gentleman. And of course, the school came out, the school attendant and all that came out to disown those remarks, which they should. But again, what is really going to happen to the gentleman who made these statements? How they're going to be reprimanded from and being taught a lesson about that? There's certain things you shouldn't say. Listen, we all have feelings one way or other toward many things. And sometimes it's just best to keep it to yourself. Even if he was not aware that his mic was on, he should have assumed that it was off in the first place. Or just shut up and not say it at all. Because again, for him to even speak it, because he had a also co-announcer with him, he was comfortable enough to even open his mouth to use those words. That's also disturbing. We need to talk about that as well. It's disturbing in the fact that a lot of these Caucasian Americans are comfortable speaking with each other in a negative and racial manner when it should make them uncomfortable to do so. And so again, I hope not only they cancel the contract, but I hope that guy doesn't get an announcer job anywhere else. I mean, that's the only way you're going to teach people that it's wrong to still use racial slurs in this day and time. Hey, you should have said it at your home. Listen, I don't know what you say behind closed doors, but there are no mics behind closed doors. You get what I'm saying? Unless your wife or somebody recording, your family member. But that's where you should keep it. Keep your thoughts to yourself. I don't like everybody, and if I said it out loud, you know what I'm saying? I mean, some things we should know to keep to ourselves. With that being said, man, maybe Keri Hilson should have kept these words to herself as well. So she was doing an interview with Hello Beautiful, and it was some statements that basically caught the attention of the people. And so in her interview, she was asked about what she learned about inner beauty. And so I'm going to read her comment, and then we're going to jump into how we feel about what she said. And so she says that I think I learned that I should take a little more time for love. That sounds good. That's true. I should put myself in a position a little more often, but I won't do it online dating. Hey, well, float your boat, float your boat. I never felt moved, and it's just not for me. Cool. Respect that. As a celebrity, I never felt the need to go that route, and I don't think it's very wise. Okay, damn, you said that 3 times now. We get it. Then she continues, she says, I'm Micaiah Jones. So she's up for some roles. And so she's speaking about the character in which she plays. She says, in that I love myself, I love my singleness, and I love my alone time. Even if I were with someone, I still need me time a lot, to the point where I could probably live in 2 separate houses with my own husband. Question mark. I've done 2 separate countries for over a decade. I want to put myself in a position to find that partner and maybe accelerate the process in between, because I'll go years in between relationships. So let's put that right there. You guys heard her comment. So basically what she was saying was, in a nutshell, that even if she's with a man or she decides to get married, she has no problem, which she has a right, with staying in 2 separate homes. Diamond, I'm gonna hand it over to you, because I got questions like, how does that work? So are you going to pay your own mortgage and he pays his own mortgage? I mean, I got 50 million questions, because that doesn't even make financial sense. Diamond, when you read this, what were you thinking?
I had questions like you, those same questions. Are you paying your own bill? And then I also was like, but why? Why can't you live in the house with your spouse and still have me time? Why even take the time and get married if we're living in 2 separate houses? What's the point? What's the principle? We might as well just date and come visit each other, have a situation or whatever you call it. What's the point of actually putting a piece of paper and a title to it, and we're living in 2 separate houses, you know? And I get it. She is a celebrity, so she probably has money to take care of those bills or whatever, and vice versa. But I still say, regardless of celebrity status, non-celebrity status, what is the point of getting married and living in 2 separate houses? You can live in a house with a person and still have me time. You can still live with a person and still do you, because you have your friends. You're gonna do your girls thing. He's probably gonna do his boys things. You know, y'all are gonna do the couple thing. But to me, living in separate houses, that's like a easy way out. That's another easy way out. Saying, yeah, I'm married, I got my own house. But wait, like where they do that at? And I know, you know, just from reading the article, they're saying, you know, it's kind of becoming a modern practical thing. But I'm in totally disagreement with it. Of course, I was like, in what? You know, I continue to be like, what's the point? Like, why live in a separate house and still be married? Why?
Well,
Why even get married?
I mean, so, because I was trying to wrap my mind around it too, and trying to just figure out in my head, if I'm married and I have a home, because we're not even including if you got children together. Um, I mean, how does that work? Are we going to live side by side? Are we going to find a home that's side by side? I mean, how exactly is that going to look? First of all, um, you know, Keri Hilson said, well, she's done the, let me go back to what she said. She says, I've done what she say, another country thing.
Yeah, the 2 countries, that's something different.
Well, then I see why, first of all, you're not with nobody now. If I can't see myself dating somebody who's in another country and we're not seeing each other on a regular basis. I mean, I would want to see the person that I'm dating. I mean, there's no way around that. I mean, so I need to be celibate until we can save up money again so you can fly back to the country. I'm just trying to figure out like how they work, because I know I'm not going to be celibate. It's just not going to happen. And so how do that work? Again, hence the reason why you're single now. I mean, as the article says, you know, they say it's starting to become somewhat of a trend. However, what is also that research is finding out is that uh, there's a darker motivation behind it. It says people can end up living apart because they feel anxious, vulnerable, and even fearful about living with a partner. Well, why are you getting married? I mean, again, who's going to pay the bills? So that's two mortgages. Can y'all both?
Too like you.
So if somebody go live in a home and somebody's going to stay in an apartment, um, who's gonna cook? Somebody come to my house and I'm gonna cook dinner and then I'm gonna go back home. I mean, because again, what about the sexual aspect of it? So we're gonna have sex and then I go back to my separate crib. I mean, I don't have to be tied to you to do any of that while being married. So what's the incentive to marry you? I mean, if I'm going to have my own place, if I'm gonna have my own bills, like what are we really doing? I mean, and then if I'm the one that's making more money, hell, it's gonna be harder for me to get rid of your ass because you don't from me. I mean, I'm just saying, how does that? Hey, shout out to D.O. Patterson, man. Let me get you caught up. He is the owner and founder of Patterson Clothing Company. So let me get you caught up for anybody who's just now tuning in. First part of the show, we talked about the CDC's saying that it is okay for people who have been fully vaccinated to be around each other without masks. So if you want to weigh in on that, appreciate it. Now we're talking about Keri Hilson. You guys know her, Miss Keri Baby. She's the singer who made some noise when she stated that if she was married, she would have no problem living in two separate homes with her husband. And again, I'm just dumbfounded at the logic and the thought process behind the ideal of, and we're not talking about boyfriend and girlfriend. That's why it's so crazy about this. We're not talking about dating, which this is what you normally do when you're dating. We're talking about marriage. And again, I guess for me as a man, the first thing I got to think of is how you being a wife to me if you're in another home. Listen, if me and my wife get into it and you try to kick me out or you go stay somewhere else, that's going to probably do it for me. Something that I was taught growing up was that I don't care what y'all get into it about, you don't leave the home. You know, you can go in other rooms, but you don't leave the house.
Right.
So I'm saying that aspect of it, but I'm going to be married to somebody, and I know me, and I'm gonna give the okay to be like, okay, baby. I mean, Diamond, I don't know, you're a woman, and I don't know if you agree with what she's saying or not, but kind of explain that to me.
So now I can't because I don't agree with it. I'm over here trying to figure out, do we have a schedule? Like Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we at your crib, Tuesday, Thursday, we at my crib. You know, I'm trying to figure out just like you, like, okay, and or what days do I get a break? So Saturday, Sunday, so weekend, you don't come to my house, I don't come to your house, you know. I'm over here trying to figure out how this works out. I totally don't agree. But like we both saying, you know, I pretty much was raised with that belief, you know, as a marriage, you're gonna go through some things, you know. You're gonna have that's a part of marriage. To me, when a married couple is into it, that's marriage. That's what it looks like. Because nothing is perfect, nothing is gonna be perfect. But when you start leaving the home because you're upset now, if you're going on a trip, that's a whole nother story. But when you start leaving the home because you're upset, to me that leads to separation. And separation leads to a divorce. I'm
You
all
got that
for it.
right.
You know, I'm married. I believe in working it out. I know everything he does, I do. We're both not going to agree with it. That's just what that is. But I still believe in fighting for my marriage. I still believe in, and I don't see how living in a separate house is fighting for your marriage. I see it being more divided than anything. I see you adding more division to it. I see that disconnect. You know, being living under one roof under that one household, that's a certain connection. You know, and when you pull that connection apart, it makes it easier to straddle the fence. And let's be real, you know, we adults. Let's just be real. It opens the door for cheating. It opens the door for other things to happen. That is my belief that what happens in you live over here and I live over there. Like how you say, well, how we work this out, how we figure out. Oh, we watching TV together tonight. Do we got favorite shows we watch? Like, do we ever spend the night together?
Hey, listen, hold on. Okay, so we got a comment that comes in. This is from Keisha LaShawn. And so she says, it depends on what the marriage was based on. Not saying I agree, but for the most part, marriage is now looked at as a business partnership versus how it used to be, sad but true. So I'm going to disagree with that. Who started saying that marriage is a business? I would ask, who are you listening to? Marriage, now if you want to take it from the aspect of a partnership, yes, because it's two people coming together, but where's the business side of marriage? I understand what you're saying, Keisha, but I want to know who is they, because show me, and again, if you ain't never been married, this ain't really, damn, I hate to say this ain't really kind of like your lane. When you get married and you go and fill out that paper to get that marriage license, it don't say nothing about a business. When you stand before God to say them vows to one another, that's not a business. That's actually a obligation. If you're in a fraternity, you understand what an obligation is. You know how serious an obligation is when you utter that out of your mouth. And so there's nothing in marriage that says business. Because if I'm going to go in business with a woman, I don't have to marry her to go into business. Yeah. That's your marriage license is not a contract as much as people want to say that. That is nothing more than a legal document for the state to recognize your marriage for whatever purpose it's going to be used for, if it's statistics or whatever, how they use it. And so this ideal that marriage is a business, I don't fall for that. I wasn't raised in a home where my mama taught me that what my mom and my daddy doing is business oriented. Last time I checked, you don't mix business with pleasure. That's what I was taught. That's not going to work well. So this notion that marriage is a business to me is nothing more than foolishness. What I see is selfishness, and while I'm thinking about it, I think it's selfish, and I'm not surprised that this is coming from a woman. I think it's selfish to want your cake and then eat it too. I'm not being sexist. I'm just saying I'm not surprised that the ideal of, oh, I could be married, but then I also don't mind if I was living in a different home than my husband. No, what that would tell me as a man is that you want your cake and eat it too. Because now, see, you can go in and out of your own home. I'm looking at it from a man's standpoint. I can hear a woman, and I can hear Keri telling her husband, you don't tell me when to come into the house. I don't have to respect you because I pay for this home. I can see so many problems arising from a man and a woman living in two separate homes, and you're gonna make me believe that it has everything to do with because you want some me time, as Diamond said. You can have your me time by having a girls' day. And the last time I checked, my mother tell us all the time, and she raised two boys, don't get so caught up in your mate that you don't have time for you. In other words, what she was saying is, yes, you are connected to your wife, but have a life outside your wife. My mother didn't say have a whole household outside of your wife. And I don't know anybody of sound mind who would condone a man and a woman living two, because how are you being a wife to me? The only way I can see you being a wife to me is just by attachment. I mean, what duties would you perform that's going to take you from your own home. You follow what I'm saying? If you cooking for us, why you buying grocery in your home? So when you go sleep at your home, you can have something to eat. But you cook in my house. You follow what I'm saying? I mean, how does that look? And so a lot of people are coming in on it. I'm gonna read some of these comments. I see some good ones coming up. This is from Dios Patterson. I'm with y'all. I don't understand the point of being married, but if it works for her spouse, and their well-being, I say, why not try it? No one says there's one way for it to work. What works for one, for you, may not work with for everyone else. Same thing. He goes on to say, same thing as being married to one person may not work for another. Some believe and are okay with. And again, we understand that, but she is a celebrity. It's going to hit the news. One thing I am aware of is that there's no cookie cutter way for marriage. Again, whatever boundaries, whatever rules, whatever understanding two people come together and make, that is what they're going to make their marriage to be. What I can say is that clearly whatever she had prior to going on to making that conversation, it ain't working because her ass ain't with nobody now. Just because, okay, Dio said just because it doesn't say the marriage is a business don't mean it's not. Okay, so again, I'm going to ask, how is marriage a business? Show me what part of it where there's a business aspect in marriage. Okay, I go to work, my significant other go to work. But that wouldn't be business between me and my wife. That would be business between me and my job. That would be business between, because my job pays me. So I do business with my job. Raising kids is not a business. Because what I'm saying is I'm trying to find out where at in marriage and the duties of a wife and a husband that it became a business. And Diamond, you can chime in either way because these questions is for anybody. I don't like the idea of the word of us using marriage, business intertwined with marriage. Because the same person that would say marriage is a business, I'm sure man or woman, if they were presented with a prenuptial agreement, they're going to have a problem with it. And then if I turned around to a chick and said, well, it's just business. So since marriage is just business, I'm presenting you with something to protect me that I'm going in with. You see how foolish that becomes, Diamond? I mean, it just...
I mean, that's very true. And not only that, you can't say that it is because emotions are tied into your personal life. Emotions are tied into a marriage. So, a lot of, and like you say, a lot of people say, oh, it's business, it's black and white. A marriage is not black and white. There is no black and white to it. It's very complicated. And there are things you have to work towards. So how can you easily just put it out there and say, hey, it's a business? I'm like you. I don't consider it to be a business. I consider it to be even more than a business. I also consider it to be personal. I consider marriage to be like that ultimate purposeful goal, that life goal, as far as having a relationship. I consider when I marry you, I'm saying something. It's not like I'm in situations I'm dating or whatever. I'm saying, you know what? It's just you. This is me. This is Diamond, because Diamond don't believe in being married to two men, a man being married to 5 women. Diamond don't believe in it. Diamond believes it's you and it's me. And that's it. We in this together. We're as one. I don't look at what you have is mine and what I have is mine. I look at what you have is mine and what I have is yours. Because we're building something. We're working on something. I don't consider it to be a business. To me, it's more than a business.
Right. So hold that thought, Diamond. And I'm going to put these comments up. If you're watching live, again, share this. Right now, we're talking about Keri Hilson, who says that even if she was to get married, she has no problem with living in 2 separate homes based off the fact that she believes in her me time, blah, 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 blah. Fuck all what you talking about. So let's get to these comments real quick. So D.L. Patterson says, Okay, as a vet, as you know, I've known many people to get married for the ability to make more money, better
Okay.
benefits, insurance purposes, that business, that's not love. And so again, I get where you guys are coming from, and I don't think y'all understanding me. When you're getting married, you understand that what helps the whole helps all. Or let me put it like this: what helps one helps all. In other words, and I'm going to get to you, Keisha LaShawn, too. I'm gonna pop your comment up there, but I want to address deals. When you decide to get married, and say for instance, I put my wife on my insurance. That's not business. That's what I'm supposed to do as a man. If I love my wife, that is love. Um, if I wanted to be some type of way toward my wife and I wouldn't put her on my benefits, what does that say about me as a man? If for instance I got the better insurance. Okay, so my wife has a job and her insurance is through the roof because she can put me on hers. I mean, that's the benefit of being married. But okay, I see I got better insurance and better coverage, and so what I'm gonna do is don't worry about your insurance, and then you come on mine. I'm still not seeing, and you're gonna have to just explain where's the business. It's love in the reason that I want her to be on my insurance. I care about her enough and her well-being that if something was to happen to her, I would know that she's covered. I still don't see the business side of marriage. When you get married, there's no such thing as this is business. Because again, if I'm going to go into it with a woman, I don't have to get married to do business with the opposite sex. I can have sex with somebody that I do business with. It might not end well, but we know people who went to business with each other, opposite sex, who are having sexual relationships with each other and never get married. So let's address Keisha LaShawn. Let me pop this up. Shout out to Keisha. Thank you for tuning in. She says, business marriage example. My husband got good credit. I don't have good credit. It benefits for me. Say I wanted these investment properties. Well, now that I'm married him, that's business partnership. That just happened for me. No, what I'm going to say, Miss Keisha, is that if a person got married for a come up, that's not business. That's being deceiving. If if the whole purpose is getting married to coming up, that's not business. That is being very deceptive, and I'm more than sure that that man or woman who is doing it exactly for that reason would not get married. If a woman told me, listen, your credit is better than mine, but I know if I marry you, I can go into these endeavors, I'm gonna say, no, I'm good. Because I don't need you to marry me for a come up. Being together should be a mutual agreement thing. That shouldn't be well, that's business. No, it ain't. Now, if you two agree to go into partnership when you get married, now y'all are dealing with a certain specific business. Diamond, do you follow what I'm saying? If me and my
Okay.
significant other, we're going to create a business. A classic example of it. I'll give you a classic example. Toby Nwigi, the rapper out of Houston, Texas, him and his wife make up a three-team duo. Um, y'all know who he is. He's a rapper. He's a Nigerian rapper, go hard out of Houston. Him and his wife, along with, I believe, their friend or cousin, they have a group together. They share in their rap career. They didn't get married because it was a business. He was a rapper. She accepted the fact that he was a rapper. She's a rapper too. And they're making money together. You follow what I'm saying? Now, that's the business side because they've decided to create a business and run with the business. But I assure you, their business and their marriage are probably totally different. You get what I'm saying? You're separating the business from the marriage side of it. Keisha, she goes on to say, Keisha LaShawn, because we got to have a lot of comments coming in. Keisha LaShawn says, your example about the insurance is valid and good, but you're speaking from your purpose in doing this, not the potential wife. I need you to elaborate on that. What I'm saying is, if I need you to elaborate on.
Wow.
Sorry about that. I was muted. What I was saying was, for you guys that didn't hear me, was Keisha, you're proving my point. They've got married for so-called business. Now they're facing divorce, which goes back to what I said. What I'm asking and what I've yet to see yet is, who said marriage was a business? Where did that ideal come from? That's all I'm asking. You can view it how you want to. What I'm saying is you got that notion from somewhere. Who told you that marriage was a business? Again, for you guys that are tuning in, we're talking about Keri Hilson and her comments about her. Even if she was married, she would have no problem with living in two separate homes. Before we keep it moving again, on this issue of being separate and married, I don't see anybody in their right mind deciding to be married by title and live in two separate homes. Again, there's just so many questions on how that's going to work. As Diamond said, that opened up a door to a lot of stuff. Infidelity. For me, I can hear a woman saying, "You can't tell me what to do in my own home." If I tried it for a hot month and you said that out your mouth, I'm going down and I'm hollering at my attorney and saying, "Hey, I need to divorce this woman." Because what you're showing me is that you don't respect me. And so it's a no-go for me. It comes from the two people that believe and agree with this. Okay, Keisha, I hear you. We're saying our marriage are, Dios is saying we aren't saying all marriages are businesses. We're saying that some are. Okay, that kind of makes sense. So what I'm getting from you, Dios, is I meet a woman, because I'm one of those people. I have to visually see this being played out. So I meet a woman. It doesn't matter if I like her or not. Somehow we get together and we said we're only getting married for the sole purpose of this being a business. Then my next question would be what part of it is business? If it's not personal and it's business, then how does a marriage based off business look? Do I have to put sex on the schedule because this is a business. Is cooking and cleaning a part of the business? See, when you use that word business, I'm going to have questions to that ideal and notion that marriage is a business. How does that business look? And why do I got to get married if I'm in business with the opposite sex? Because that's just how I look at it. If I'm, the business will come from what the reasons for doing it. So I'm not, so okay, so I'm not adding my wife because I love her. I'm not I'm not pouring into my wife because this is who I want to live the rest of my life with. And what I mean by that is pouring into her financially. She might have dreams. She want to go to college. She want to get some degrees. Am I doing it because it's a business, or do I do it because I love my wife? Again, it becomes confusing, and we can be on it all day. And since y'all were chiming in on that, I know you guys have something y'all want to chime in about with this. And so let's go on and get to the real petty part of this show, in which I was saving for last. For you guys who've seen the description of this live, I started out saying that. So there's a guy who apparently wrote to Ebony. And I'm not going to go into this whole story, because basically what he does is, all he does is talk about his little old history growing up, how he felt out of place. He just felt like he was meant to be a woman. He got in college, and worked and did all this to get to the point of him finally making the transition to a woman. I forgot what that the surgery is called. Help me out here, because I'm looking at the article and it's called like realignment surgery. No, gender reassignment surgery. To go from a male to female. And this is the part that I'm going to read for you guys can hear and understand and give your thoughts on. So after the long article of him boo-hooing about his story, the woe is me is what I call it. He says, after a few years of working 50 million jobs and saving every dime, I finally had enough to pay for my surgery. My family would come to the hospital to support me, but my family did, and it made all the difference. When I woke up, I was no longer Jason, I was Reagan. I was finally who I was supposed to be. Oddly enough, it didn't take me long to adjust to the life as a woman at all. I believed I was a woman in my mind for so long that it seemed natural to see breasts. When I stood in the mirror naked or hear men compliment me on my outfit. And it was one of those men, Carlos, who ended up winning my heart. We were months into dating and contemplating sex before it ever occurred to me that Carlos might need to know about Jason. It was wrong, but I chose to keep the secret rather than risk losing him. Then Reagan goes on to say, now 4 years later, Carlos and I are happily and madly in love. It has been a roller coaster, but we couldn't be happier. But this happiness that is causing me such pain because Carlos feels that it is time to add to our happy family. He is excited to be a father and is facing and his face lights up at the very thought. So how do I break his heart? How do I tell him that all of our trying has been in vain because despite my best efforts to be the person I always felt I was, I'm still not who he thinks I am. Yes, you guys heard it right. What are y'all thoughts on this situation? Basically, in a nutshell, I don't know if this is a brother. I don't know if this is a white guy. But in a nutshell, he's saying he's always felt like he was a female. He finally saved up the money, transitioned from male to female, met a guy, Carlos. They have fallen madly in love. Now Carlos wants a family, want to have children. And Reagan has been holding the fact that she was Jason. So, Diamond, come on, I've been talking. Let's break this shit down before I get to talking.
Well, see, I feel like when you're in a relationship, those type of things are things that have to come out before you actually marry a person. Whether you're like, oh, because most of the time that's what you hear, I'm afraid of losing them. What do you think's gonna happen after you marry them and then you give your confession? You are still in the possibility that you can lose them. You might even lose them more and faster than had you told them in the beginning because at least you was upfront and honest. Now you've been married to this man, which I don't understand how come he don't. But I don't know a lot about the gender reassignment surgery. I do not know a lot about them. However, I still don't understand how you don't know that the woman used to be a man. Because to me, most of them, I thought you could tell in some other kind of way. I don't know. Again, I don't know. Because I know Bruce Jenner still look like Bruce Jenner to me. He still don't look like a woman. But anyway, back to the subject. I don't understand why you didn't tell in the beginning. This is some detrimental, deep meaning, rooted up stuff that should be discussed before you had ever married this man. He should have been given the opportunity to know who he was really marrying because honestly, this whole marriage has been a lie. It's a fraud. How can you know? Because he's not married to who he thinks he is. He thinks he's married to Reagan. He thinks Reagan was born Reagan. He thinks Reagan was born a woman. And Reagan was born Jason, who had a sex change. And that's very deceptive. That's very mean. That's very dishonest and deceitful. It's just downright wrong. There is no way that Reagan should have married Carlos without Carlos knowing up front, hey, I used to be a man and I had the sex reassignment surgery. There is no way that should have even happening without having that conversation. Then you up here acting like you can have kids. You ain't telling them I can't have kids. So you going through the motions of trying to act like, don't you think it's gonna come out? And how even more hurt is Carlos gonna be that you deceived him for all of this time and all of these years? It's just wrong. Wrong.
Okay, so for you guys that don't know what sex reassignment surgery is, it says sex reassignment surgery, also known as gender reassignment surgery, and several other names, is a surgical procedure by which a transgender person's physical appearance and function of their existing sexual characteristics are altered to resemble those socially associated with their identified gender. So, in other words, his private parts were made to be a vagina. I'm in agreement, and here we go, Keisha. I am in agreement with you. The first thing that I thought that came to mind, and I'm reading your comment, is I believe that is a crime. I got this story out of one of the groups I was in, and all male group, matter of fact, all married men group, and this popped up because it was a dude who was married, who's supposed to be a wife, married to a man. This is how people's lives get taken, and we got to be honest about this. You know, we hear about transgender men, people who are being murdered out here, and I don't take light of it. We know there are stories where men who found out that they were dating were actual men who went on to take the life of that other person. That's a fact, because they felt so deceived, they felt so violated that they took whatever necessary action that they felt at that time behind the situation. Now, I don't know how true this story is because, again, this is something that was sent to Ebony. Ebony decided to, publish it. My question about Carlos is, you never once saw this man's Adam's apple? Like, you never looked at his neck? Are you telling me that this guy looks so much like a woman that you didn't question this woman's true sexuality, true gender? Even when you get to the sex part, you can't fully make a vagina. You can't really fully duplicate a woman's vagina. You can't do it. I mean, you're a man, and I just want you as a man, if you're watching this, think about what's already between your legs, right? And it's being moved and opened up to a way to where another man can have sex with you. I know this seems a little colorful and but I just want you to think about it. You can't duplicate the natural woman's private part. So, I'm like, well, how were they having sex? I mean, that you couldn't tell. One comment from the group said, well, you ain't noticed her ever having a period? You know what I'm saying? Like, those things, if you're dating a woman, you pay attention to. So Jason / Reagan never talked about cramping? I mean, how do you not see the signs that you are, first of all, dating a man? I don't care what surgery, breasts, and all, heavy makeup. So you telling me once you take the makeup off, this guy don't look like a guy by the face? I mean, so he doesn't have stub. You get what I'm saying, Diamond? I'm just trying to figure out, like, how does it work?
I was looking at some of the comments, and they were actually saying that they shaved the Adam's apple down during the surgery, which that's something I didn't know. I didn't know that they shaved the Adam's apple. I do know that what Dio said about how they make it, I have heard that. I have a friend who actually works at one of those clinics, and she did say that's how they do it, was by using the male penis or whatever. But I did not know about the shaving of the Adam's apple. But again, especially when you were talking about he's expecting a child, then that period definitely has, the menstrual cycle definitely has to come into play, because a woman cannot, if she doesn't have a cycle, she cannot produce a child anyway. So I'm like, didn't you at least notice that? Like you say, from my understanding, most male friends I have known, they usually pay attention to stuff like that, because I've heard them say that's when y'all get so moody. So I'm trying to pay attention to stay out of harm's way or whatever.
Yeah, right.
So I'm like, you were there, especially when you're talking about the child thing, like that should have at least been something to notice. Because what you would want to know is, if you're not having one, then something else is going on with that person's body, So I don't know. That's very good stuff.
Right. I mean, and I already know y'all are right. Yes, they take the penis and they push it inwards. But what I'm saying is, even with doing all of that, you just cannot duplicate the natural, real deal, holy feel. You can't. You can't change that. You cannot. I mean, because a woman has organs in her body in that area that men don't have. You get what I'm saying? I mean, and so you're not replacing you're not taking, a woman's whole uterus and all of that, the whole nine, and then replacing it with, those sensitive nerves and the whole nine into a guy is what I'm saying. You can duplicate it. You can You can do that, but you can't just. I'm just lost for words, to be honest with you, for you guys that are watching, because when I read this story, I was like, well, damn. I'm like, a lot of you guys. First of all, that should be a crime. It's no different than a person hiding AIDS from the person that they're having unprotected sex with. That is a crime that will wind you up in prison. Um, and yes, I do see it in the same line of having an STD, as Keisha pointed out, and not telling that other person. Now this guy has invested 4 years with you, and you've been living a lie. And whenever you come out, now you're going to be expecting him to understand why you kept it from them. You follow what I'm saying, Diamond? It's gonna be like,
Right.
well, I don't want to come out. And that's why I said, if you guys read the whole article, and y'all can read the whole article, you can go to Ebony, and it's called Confession. My husband doesn't know I'm trans. You can read the whole article. We just got to the end of the article where it basically got to the point of the article that at the end of the day, after 4 years of them being married, Carlos wants children, and Reagan is not able to produce a child. And I don't know how to tell him that I'm really, or I was born a man who had a what they call it, gender reassignment surgery. Um, I don't think it's going to go well, and I think that's the reason why Reagan has not openly told her husband, because again, men have killed transgender women behind this very thing. I will say the best thing to do is be open and honest. And I would say be in a whole different hotel when you call and tell them. I wouldn't tell them in person. I wouldn't say it in person. I'm just being honest. I mean, listen, this is very serious. We're joking, but this is serious. Transgender people have lost their lives behind this. And so where I'm laughing, I'm being honest and saying Reagan needs to tell her husband in a safe place. I'm with Dios. He said, hey, be in a whole different country. Be in another country. I totally agree. I mean, we're joking about this shit, but I'm serious when I say, because people have lost their lives behind this. Countless transgender people hiding behind who they really are. Now, I don't know if it's a law that one has to disclose who they are. She didn't say what state she was in. And that stuff varied from state to state. But again, one thing I will stand on is your ass don't need to be in the house where you hold it. Like you need to be somewhere where you can't be found. You got at least a good week of paying for a hotel, wherever you go, Airbnb, whatever you need to pay for to make sure you're safe. And I say that seriously, not joking at all, because again, I can't reiterate enough. People have lost their lives behind this. We have somebody coming in, C.A. Edwards, that says, it's really sad but true. Stay safe. I'm a supporter of transgender people, but they need to be honest just like everyone else. I agree with you. I support people because my motto is simply this. I mean, what you do don't make me shit. I hate to say that, but that's really true. I hate for it to come out like that, but that's true. At the end of the day, who people decide who they want to sleep with, how they choose to live their life is really none of my business. However, once you make situations like this public, it's going to be worth talking about. And hopefully Reagan does the right thing. Diamond, what else are you thinking about this? How do you think? How would you tell Reagan to handle this?
I'm sitting over here thinking. First of all, I'm over here like, you haven't told Carlos, who you say you love, but you didn't tell Ebony, like, there's not a balance there at all. Why did you publicize this? It's in Ebony magazine, but you have yet to tell Carlos. That's another ding on Raven. And
Right.
I'm like with the comments, I don't have anything against whether you're gay, lesbian, trans, or whatever. But what I do believe in is being upfront and honest in the beginning. Give people the opportunity to make their choice and make their decision on whether or not they want to go to the next level with you or not. That is the only issue I have. That's the only problem I have with this whole article is that Reagan was not upfront in the very beginning. You've deceived this man because you've been married 4 years. Don't know how long you dated or whatever. But we do know for sure you have deceived Carlos for 4 years. You're continually deceiving him. And even before you come and tell him, you just told the whole world. You outed yourself to the whole world, but not the person you say you love. Not the person you say. So this is, to me, Reagan is very selfish, very into him, into herself, because you have done nothing to make sure Carlos was okay. You have done nothing to make sure his mental capacity is okay. At this point, you pretty much need to tell the truth, but you do need to do it from somewhere else because you don't know how he's gonna react. And I'm hoping with the story that maybe you use a fake name that I don't know, but please don't have used your real name and it's the Ebony and you didn't tell Carlos before Ebony published it. Like, oh my gosh, you just not only devastated him in that issue, but you also just made him very embarrassed with his friends and everyone else that y'all associate with that does not know your truth. And I'm not saying that you had to tell everyone else your truth. What I am saying is that Carlos should have known your truth before y'all even got married. Carlos should have known and had the opportunity to make the decision on whether or not he wants to stay in that relationship. That way you wouldn't be worried about kids because y'all could have made the decision to adopt. But you should have been upfront with them. And at this point, the only advice I do have for Reagan is to, be upfront, go ahead and tell the truth. But you definitely need some distance between you when you did it. When someone made a comment and said use a burner phone, you might want to do something, but you definitely do not want to be in his presence when you tell him, which is really sad because you really should have told him in the beginning and been in his presence to share that moment with him ahead of time. But at this point, I don't know because you let too much time pass.
Well, here's what I would say. And this is to anybody who's living this life who is on the fence about disclosing who they are on any side of it. First of all, deception is lying. That's one of seven forms of lying. Omission is lying. So how can you build something with anybody when you're lying out the gate? That means that your relationship with whoever you might be having a relationship with means absolutely nothing. It is just it's built on lies at the end of the day. And so I would say to anybody, man, listen, who's walking this life, and there are people who are living this every day. Be open and honest. It's no different than a woman who turns around and says, well, all he had to do was be honest with me and allow me to make the decision myself. And what I take from when I hear women say that when they're dealing with men who have lied to them is what you did is you robbed me of making the choice myself, allowing me to decide whether or not I still want to deal with you or if I don't want to deal with you. Because basically what you did is you manipulated me and you lied to me for whatever reason. And so this is no different. Give people the choice if they want to still deal with you after you have open about who you really are. And that's anybody, transgender, LGBT, straight, whatever you want to call yourself. If you're in a heterosexual relationship, be open and honest about who you are in general, and then allow people to make that decision for themselves. and then move accordingly. Other than that, man, all you're doing is you're gonna hurt. Not only is it hurting you, but the person that eventually find out, they're gonna be just as hurt, and nobody wins in that situation. And so,
Right.
again, as we close, I hate to run across these kind of stories, but again, this is real life. This happens in real life, and people are losing their lives behind not disclosing who they really are. Not just transgender, but it could be a man who's cheating on his wife. It could be a woman who's cheating on her boyfriend. We don't know the state of people, and the state of people when they are upset varies from person to person, to the point that physical violence is what they feel is necessary to get back at people. And so let's not just play with people's minds and heart, not understanding that there's a consequence to all of this. Whether it's no longer dealing with you to the extreme end of it being violence, be open and honest about who you are. Listen, with that being said, I posted a status, and this is off the cuff, but I think we're going to talk about it before we close. We have enough time to do it. I'm going to share my screen of a status in which I shared that always creates some traction. Let me go to where I can share my screen, and I want your thoughts on this, Diamond. Let me share my screen. This is from my Facebook page. Let me pull it up. Okay, Diamond, do you see my screen?
No, I just see the Petty Crew logo.
So you don't see my status that I got up?
I do now. It's up now.
Okay, cool.
It's just popped
up. Okay, cool. Let's talk about this real quick. I created a status, and for you guys who are watching, this is my social media page, and I created a status saying, all I'm saying is remove the weave, makeup, foundation, concealer, eyelashes, eyeliner, lipstick, girdles, waist trainers, then lay out a portfolio other than your job 401k. Explain to him how you are building up your net worth rather than what you are spending your money on. Instead of talking about what qualities a man must have to make you happy and meet your needs, what qualities do you possess that make you a keeper? I mean, because being of value to somebody goes both ways. Then the conversation can start on what you won't settle for. Again, this is my personal page. You can find me at Stephen Hayes, in parentheses, Boss Hogg, and add me to your friends list. So let's go on and talk about that status. The lady of the house, I'm going to give you opportunity to talk to me. What you think about that status that I made?
You know what? I was actually trying to find it so I could read it because that was a little too small.
Mm-hmm.
To
You can go to my Facebook page. You can scroll down, and I'm going to pop it up again for those who can actually see it. And we're going to talk about this real quick because I got a lot of comments on this.
What day did you post?
I posted this on, let me go back and see. This was March the 11th at 5:09 a.m. Y'all know I'm up early in these streets grinding.
Okay, this is the one about the remove the weave, right?
Yeah, can you see it right now? There we go.
Yeah, I found it, but you did make it bigger. I found it.
Yeah, again, I said, all I'm saying is remove the weave, makeup, foundation, concealer, eyelashes, eyeliner, lipstick, girdles, waist trainers. Then lay out a portfolio other than your job 401k. Explain to him how you are building up your net worth rather than what you are spending your money on. Instead of talking about what qualities a man must have to make you happy and meet your needs, what qualities do you possess that make you a keeper? I mean, because being of value to somebody goes both ways. Then the conversation can start on what you won't settle for. Holla at me.
I told you know, I pretty much agree with you except for the removing the weave and makeup and foundation and concealing and stuff. You know, I'm gonna keep my weave. I like it, but I do have portfolios outside of my job, 401k plan, and I do agree that especially marriages have changed now, relationships have changed. It's no longer the stay at home mom, so I believe it's okay for me to add value to what we have. Yeah, we build together, but I don't have a problem with being able to bring something to the table. I should have something to bring just well as you. And I've never been that woman that said that if you didn't have this, that, and that, because for me, it's never been about the financial status.
Mm-hmm.
Personally, for me, it's always been about the love and how you treat me. I feel like the financial status, if we're on one accord, that we can work on that and build that together. Now granted I'm not out here trying to marry somebody that's trying to rob everybody and do stuff, because I need to be legit. I need to be secure and stable. And because those are things that I need on the natural, I take care of me first. So I make sure that I can have those things. So I don't see anything wrong with building your portfolio and working on, adding value to the table. There are times when we all probably need, whether it's you need to work on cleaning up your credit or check on some more investments or come with some more stuff. That's something that I personally am working on right now. There's some things that I know as far as my net worth and my portfolio that I need to work on that is even better, because I've had like the IRAs and stuff as far as from my different setting them up outside of working a 401(k)(3)(b), but I didn't probably had my investments going the way they should. So I'm working on even stepping up that more. Like, okay, now I can take time to work on this one, or I can build over here, or let me go learn a little bit more in that aspect, which is definitely something that my husband and I actually had a conversation about. I don't want to say the person's name because as Black America, we're not really supporting him right now because of his stance and things he did in supporting Rush and that other man that used to live at the White House. But
Mm-hmm.
there's this guy that has his own radio show. He's very good on talking about finances and total money makeovers and total wealth and things of that nature. And despite where he stands on a political stance, and despite that, yes, he does have some racism flowing in his blood, he does have a good plan of layout that people can take what applies to them and use it to work on being debt free and use it to work on building their wealth. And there are some things that I actually, before I was just read in the book and have looked up in the book and have applied some of those scenarios to my own life as well. So as a woman, like I said, I'm gonna keep my weave, I'm gonna keep my makeup and foundation. I don't see anything wrong with that. But I do agree on being able to, and I know that was just a joke. I'm just still saying it. Well, I'm assuming it was a joke, but you could have been for real when you said it. But
I'm just
I'm
waiting
just
to see you finish. Yeah, I'll tell you what it
oh,
was.
okay. But I do agree as far as, laying out there and hey, what do you have? What do you bring in? And definitely talking about, the finances. A lot of times you fall so deep or head over heels in love, and that's a conversation that people don't have. And then they end up getting too involved or getting married, and you find out all of this other stuff that kind of hurts both of you guys. So I think, those conversations are very well. There's nothing wrong with a woman being able to take care of a man if that's how y'all agree or whatever. Because I definitely know if something was to happen to my husband, I don't just need to be able to hold it down. That's who I should be able to hold it down and make sure our household is still flowing as far as financially and have his back. I believe it. Yes, I was put here to be his helpmate, and being his helpmate means that I need to be able to help and match him financially as well. Be able to, add something to the table. Maybe I can't give everything he has. Maybe I don't have it, but I should always be working towards that. I definitely believe that I should always be working towards that and working on things and overall that's gonna make us better as a pair, as a couple, and as an individual.
Okay, so let me go and finally reveal what I'm saying. If you guys have been on my social media page for a long time now, the truth is that I reshare this status every year on the same day. This status is I created this status maybe probably about I want to say 5 years ago. So at the beginning, because I'm saying a couple of things here in this status. I said all I'm saying is remove the weave, makeup, foundation, concealer, eyelashes, eyeliner, lipstick, girdles, waist trainers. And I'm gonna stop right there. First and foremost, as a man, what I've noticed is in dating prior to being married or whatever, is that there's this ideal and an arrogance behind certain women who feel they are the same woman they are with and without makeup. And the truth is that they're not. And what do I mean by that? A young lady sent me a picture of the brother Kevin Samuels, and as I tell people, I was Kevin Samuels before he knew he was Kevin Samuels. So, in other words, a 3 trying to come to me who's acting like a 10 about what she won't accept and what she don't. So when I say that at the beginning, what I'm saying is a woman needs to come to me naked, bare. Meet me first of all the same way I'm meeting you, just as I am. Not in who you think you are made up, because that is true. A lot of women, and I see it all the time, a lot of women think because they look a certain way and they dress a certain way, they wear certain clothes, that kind of entitled them to a certain lifestyle, a certain type of guy, whatever the case may be. So when I say that, I'm being very honest, because when you strip out of all of that mess, when you strip yourself of everything that you think make you you, and you addressing me or somebody else as who you are, you have a different mind state. And again, I'm talking from a place of a male who watched how women move in certain ways. And so, yes, when you come to me as a woman, come to me just as you are. Come to any man just as you are. Remove all of that. Because what we find out is that a lot of women don't feel they as pretty as they are when they don't have all that on them. Now, I see some comments saying, well, some women don't wear waist trainers. Well, duh, I'm not talking about all women. I'm hitting whoever this might hit. If you wear weave, I'm talking to you. If you an eyelash woman, I'm talking to you. What I'm talking to is not specifically a person, but a specific mindset. That is what I'm speaking to. Meaning, when you have all these things on you, regardless of if it's all of them or a few of them, if you feel that that's what makes you you, and that entitles you to receive certain things from men, what I'm saying is take all that away. Meet me naturally on the level you are. So when I say that, that's what I'm addressing. I'm saying when you come to me, don't come to me all made up, thinking like you are, God's gift to the world, when the truth is once you take off all that shit and you look in the mirror, you really probably feel a different way. So then I go on to say, then lay out a portfolio other than your job's 401k. Explain to him how you are building your net worth rather than what you are spending your money on. This is classic psychology. Again, it goes back to watching and seeing how women always talking about what a man must have, what he need to do, his finances, how he needs to bring in a certain type of money. And then what I'm saying is, if you're working a job and you're working a job for a significant amount of time, it's common sense that more than likely you're paying into a 401k. So if you're talking to me about your 401k, that's natural to me to understand you have a 401k. Because most jobs is going to provide you with a 401k. Now, what you pour into it, that's up to you. So you can't really hold that conversation with me because that's just kind of regular known. So that's not really helping me. That don't really impress me. And then I said, well, explain to him how you are building up your net worth rather than what you're spending your money on. We know that I'm a man talking to women. We know that majority of women are superficial. So with that being said, again, this is just reverse psychology. I don't want to hear about or see what you spend your money on. What I want to hear, and this is me talking as a man, how are you keeping the money you bringing in? What we as African Americans don't understand is it ain't what you spend your money on that show you got money. It's what you keeping. Net worth is not determined by your salary and what you making. Net worth is about what you've accumulated in access. That's what determines your net worth. So when I'm talking to a woman, I want to know how you building your net worth. I don't care what you're spending your money on. What are you worth? Statistics show that the average family, well, we as a whole are behind 400 years from white America when it comes to finances, when it comes to net worth. We're behind. Why? Because we have this ideal that is what you spend your money on and how much you make in your salary, which shows you have money. No, that's not true. What you've acquired in assets determines your net worth, meaning from checking accounts, from if it's stocks, if it's bonds, if it's real estate, all of the positive financial flow minus your debt. That would tell you your net worth. So if you have a positive cash flow of $10,000, meaning that's what you bring in, regardless of where those finances come from, that's $10,000. Well, if you have a student loan debt that's $15,000, what is your net worth? Anybody that know anything about money and math is that your net worth is a negative $5,000. And so you can be the prettiest thing on earth, but if at the end of the day your net worth is in the negative, then what you got to be careful in who you addressing as a woman to a man. And then I go on to say, instead of talking about what qualities a man must have to make you happy, that make you happy and to meet your needs, what qualities do you possess that make you a keeper? Again, it goes back to just the reversing the psychology of all of it. 9 times out of 10, you always hear about women, not all women, but a lot of women who talk about what they want, what this man has to have. They have a whole list. Never do I ever see, or rarely do I see what qualities that a woman have that makes them a keeper. I mean that wholeheartedly. I want to know as a man, what about you would make me want to keep you? Because it's easy to talk about what you want. It's easy to talk about how a man can, what you're looking for in a man, but why would this man want to keep you? What would make you a keeper to men? How can you add to this man's life? I don't want to hear about a man adding to you. What do you add to a man? And lastly, because being of value to somebody goes both ways. That is self-explanatory. We can't have a one-sided conversation about what we need and expect from somebody, and that communication only goes one way. One of the young ladies who commented on my status made the perfect poster, basically what I was saying. Kimberly Worthington out of Houston, Texas said, I agree. I've always said, be what you require. Point blank and simple. Be what you require. Hit it right on the head. Because again, if you're trying to figure out my value as a man, I'm trying to figure out what's your value to me. Because if I don't see you of any value, I don't really care how you see me. Because I'm worried about what do you add to me? How can we help each other? Like we talked about earlier, how can we help each other build? And then, of course, my pettiness. Then the conversation can start on what you won't settle for. So again, I'm laying out. Remove all that makeup and all that BS that pumped your head up. Come to me butt naked, not physically but mentally. Come to me naked just as you are. Let me see them pimples on your face. Let me see them scars. Let me see your natural hair. Let me see you for who you are. Meet me on a basic level. Then you can lay out to me your conversation about what you won't settle for. Again, it just goes back to what I've noticed over the years on social media and how women are always talking about what they won't settle for. You see women who ain't settled for shit. They always say they ain't never settled for nothing, but and I know I'm finna hit some folks with this. I don't settle for nothing, but yet you settle for either a sexual toy. Let's be real, because you got to get off. You got to get off. Let's not act like we're not sexual beings. You're human. You got to feel something. Or you settle for having sex with somebody. You're not married. You don't have a boyfriend, but you got somebody that you can have sex with. As women like to say, when I want to have sex. Is that not settling? Now, correct me if I'm wrong. That to me is the lowest form of settling, when you have not ran across somebody that have met your standards. If you settled for a person to be nothing more than sexual gratification to you, to me, that's the lowest form of settling. What you're really saying to people are that either you're not who you need to be more than sex, and then vice versa. It's the same thing. Because sex is easy. It don't require a lot of work. It don't require a lot of thinking. It doesn't require, emotional satisfaction. You get what I'm saying? It's just sex. It's physical, And so again, when we talk about what we won't settle for, this is exactly what I'm talking about. Another comment says something to the extent. So basically what you're saying, if you basic, F you. Yeah, I'm being petty. I mean, it's all in there. It's just saying that, as a man, what I've noticed over the years is that a lot of women who feel because they dress a type of way, they look a type of way. And again, I'm talking about a mentality that they owe something, that a man has to be a certain way. In other words, just because you think you dress in Gucci, you wear your little red bottoms, you drive a nice little cleaned up Chrysler 300, you don't want to talk to the brother who's a manager at AutoZone, because that's beneath you. Now, see, you run across a brother like me, I'm going to tell you, you don't own your car. And just because you might be a manager at a call center, you don't own shit. I'm just being honest, because I'm going to be realistic with you. Again, I'm going to pull a Kevin Samuel. If I date you, you got some other niggas' kids. And so again, how do you actually benefit me? How are you going to add to me? Because when I look at it, I see debt. That goes back to that net worth. Because if your net worth is in the positive, that means you're getting somewhere. Whether it's business, whether it's stocks, what I'm saying is get out of the superficial. I had a guest on our show who has a book, and I'm going to plug this book called Competing with the Man in Your Head. Get this man out of your head that you think that you built up in your head that doesn't exist, and meet men where they are. Men are expected to meet women wherever they are. And I've seen it on Facebook. I remember talking about a chick. I wasn't talking about what she did for a living. I just mentioned Walmart, and women went off. It don't matter if she work at Walmart. I don't care if a woman work at Walmart. That really wasn't the whole purpose of the comment, but that's what women read. And so, again, be what you want from that man. If he needs to have all his shit in order, you better have all your shit in order, whatever that look like. And so that's all it was in a nutshell. Again, man, as we close, I want to thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys for chiming in. Shout out to Stacy Breckenridge. Shout out to Keisha LaShawn. Shout out to my boy Dio Patterson of Patterson Clothing Company. Shout out to all you guys who liked and shared. Definitely thank you for tuning in. Next week we're probably going to have a surprise for you guys. I can't wait to have one of my former co-hosts back on the show. Um, and it's just going to be surprising when she reveals who she is. So I'm definitely happy and excited about that. Diamond, let everybody know where they can find you.
First of all, I want to shout out to Tammy. That's my sister tuning in from Clarksville, Tennessee. To C.A. Edwards, she's in Dallas, and that's another one of my close friends. So thank you guys for joining us today. I really appreciate it. Look forward to seeing you next week. And again, I am Yolanda Diamond Jones. You can find me on Facebook and Instagram as Yolanda Diamond Jones, or you can find my business, YOLO's Expressions. That's part of my network and my net building, my little few businesses I have on the side where I make personalized t-shirts, tumblers, jewelry, candles, pretty much you name it, I can make it. It's usually all customized, but if you get at me on Instagram or Facebook at YOLO Expressions, I can definitely get you right. And I'm in Texas.
Okay, listen, I'm looking at these comments before we get out here. So let's address these comments. Let's have some fun with this. We got 15 minutes. So I'm scrolling back up the comments, and this is from let me start with C.A. Edwards. She says, let me go back to what I see. She says, I'm not understanding. I'm the same person dressed up, makeup, and done. Waist trainer. Men do the same thing. Don't you dress up, pit up or front? I have raised boys to men. Y'all do the same thing. Let me put this on the stage and let me address this. And you can chime in if you want to, Diamond. So what am I talking about? First and foremost, men do not do the same thing. Let me tell you what men do. Men do what attracts women to them. Men don't buy nice cars to attract other men to them. They buy nice cars because they know that's what's going to turn a woman's eye. Men don't dress in fine clothes to attract other men. They do it to attract women. Men are not flashy because they want to attract a man. Men are flashy because men know that's what attracts women to them. So when I say the same person, meaning that what I mean by that is, again, I'm talking about a mentality. I'm talking about the ideal that for a lot of women, what they buy and what they put on is who they believe they are. Okay, so let me say it another way if you didn't understand it. Dr. Omar Johnson put it like this: we buy all these things because that is what we feel that brings worth to us. So if I buy the nice car, so if I dress a certain way, if I put the weave in my head, if I put the makeup on, I'm doing it because underneath all of it, I really have low self-esteem about myself. Hence the reason why, I'm not saying all women, but for a lot of women, they do it because they do not like who is in the mirror. Again, I'm not speaking about all. So what I'm talking about is a mindset. Now, if you're a woman who wear eyelashes and wear makeup, I'm not saying that's a problem. I'm speaking to a mindset. I'm only speaking to a certain group of women who, again, who wouldn't otherwise feel the way they feel about the type of men that can approach them and who they want to talk to if they didn't have those things that made them look the way they look. That's what I mean by that. Again, and you can jump in at any point. Keisha little son says, I'm confused about the makeup, lashes, etc. I don't really understand that part because at the end of the day, character is character and personality is personality, which they both mean two different things. So unless you will have this woman to strip down as a sign of humbling herself or a sign of trying to make her feel less confident, is more like church or punishment. It won't change who that woman really is. It sounds like it just makes a man feel more like a man. And so again, I'm speaking to a mindset, Keisha LaShawn. At the end of the day, character is character. Hence the reason why I'm saying take off all the superficial BS off. Take that off, because what we do know, and it's been scientifically proven, people act different when they dress a certain way. If you grew up and you never had nothing, we say it all the time, stop acting like a nigga who ain't never had nothing. Because now that you got something, you don't know how to act with it. It's no different than, again, some women. I'm not speaking about all women. I'm speaking to only a certain type of woman who feels a certain type of way when she have all this on. We like to say, I'm the shit. In other words, the only time she feel like she the shit is when she have all these things that make her feel like she the shit. So the question is once she takes it off, do she not still feel like she's the shit? Because that's what I'm gonna ask. If putting makeup on make you feel so good, I'm gonna ask you, how do you feel when you have none of this on, when you're just who you are? Again, removing all of this from you. So what I'm talking to is a character. What I'm saying is, remove that and let me see who your character really is. And yes, I do believe she says a woman to strip down as a sign of being humble. No, it's not. First of all, a woman should be humbled in the first place. All people should be humble because there's nobody better than anybody else. Um, you're not Jeff Bezos. You're not the owner of Amazon who has billions of dollars. And just because my money might look different than yours, meaning I might more than me, at the end of the day, we all trying to make it. You got a job like I got a job. I got a business like the next person have a business. What I'm saying is, as I said, we're all on the same level. I should just look different from each other. That's all it is. So this has absolutely nothing to do with uh, a man feeling more like a man. No, because the truth is that y'all want men to be a certain way, but at the end of the day, I mean, at minimum, we're gonna buy clothes because we like to dress nice. We're gonna get our hair cut. We're gonna do those things. But y'all have more access to shit that we don't. Men are not really walking around with weave on their head unless they bald headed. You get what I'm saying, Diamond? Unless they want to put a toupee on, unless they want to wear a beard. Diamond, what's up? Talk to me.
Well, I mean, first let me say this. I get where you're coming from as far as that, as in the characterization. But again, men do the characterization, because when that man put on that hat on his head or that baseball cap he put on before he walk out the door, that's the woman puts that weave on, because I know several men they can't move without that baseball cap. No, that's a part of what they're identifying to when a woman identifies to what she identifies with her weave. Me, I wear a weave, I don't wear a weave. And then honestly, I'm the same person, whether I wear it or don't wear it. But I know, but one thing I do know is you're not talking to me. When you made this statement, I didn't look at it to analyze it to say, oh, he's talking to me. I looked at it and said, oh, that's a valid point. He's talking to the people that's not on that level yet. So I didn't go into with the makeup. Then knowing you, I was like, oh, was he just being petty, being funny, or whatever? So once you broke it down and explained, I understand that you're talking to a type of woman. You're talking to a characterization or personalization, not necessarily anyone in particular. And that's why I say, even not knowing whether you were playing a serious, the one thing I did know when I read it is he's not talking to me. And the reason
Right.
being is because one of the reasons you wasn't talking to me is my hair or makeup. Honestly, it does not change my conversation. I'm a woman that loves her naturality. I share my naturality quite often. Most men that do know me, they see me both ways. They see me with weave, they see me without. Most of the time when they met me, it was without. And somewhere along the line, they saw me with it. They saw me with the makeup. You may or may not. I don't even wear it every day. So I definitely knew that. But I also understood what you were saying, because you were saying, stop giving us all of these requirements and you're not meeting us here and you have nothing to bring to the table. So I could identify and I could understand where you were coming from with that. And that's why I took it as you're not talking to me because I understand the need to bring something there. I understand about net worth. I understand about having these other entities because one, I have those other entities. I am an entrepreneur. So I have multiple streams of income that I'm working on to build them to where I want them to be. So I totally could understand what you were saying. And that's why I said when I saw it, I didn't look at it as you were talking to me. Of course, the hair and makeup, I was like, I'm gonna wear my hair and makeup whenever I feel like I want to wear my hair and makeup. That's what I do. But I didn't look at it as being in out of character. When you broke it down and explained it, I could understand where you were going with it, and I understood what you were looking at. Not all women are like this, but you were saying a lot of y'all, when y'all put this on, you think because you got on these red bottoms that you are above someone. So that's what I took it for at its worth,
Right.
and that's what I understood it to be. And as a woman, yes, I've seen women do that, but I've also seen men do it. I've seen men that get out their business with their suits and like, oh, she work at McDonald's. Now I don't want none of her. But guess what? She might be the manager. She might be the district manager at McDonald's, or whatever. So I've seen both sides of the fence. But I know in this particular situation, I can identify and understand where you were going with it. And yes, we all need that. We all need to
Hold on,
do
Diamond.
that. Have that
Hold on,
along.
Diamond. Hey, shout out to Attorney Kevin Johnson. Thank you for tuning in. Let me get you caught up real quick. So first of all, the beginning of the show, we talked about the CDC and them saying that it's okay for fully vaccinated people to not wear a mask around other fully vaccinated people. We also discussed what happened up there in Oklahoma with the girls' basketball team, where the announcers were caught with a hot mic disrespecting the basketball players for kneeling. We also jumped into a conversation about a transgender male who had not um, let his husband know that she was once a man, as now the gentleman she's married to wants to create a family. And we also talked about Keri Hilson, who basically said, you know what? Even if I got married, I would have no problem with also living in separate homes, because she feels like, I can have me some me time, whatever. And we're winding up the show. We're ending up the show talking about a status that was on my page that was basically talking about a whole bunch of shit. I really don't want to reread it. However, that is what we're discussing right now. Well, I have it up. It says, all I'm saying is uh, remove the weave, makeup, foundation, move all that BS, then lay out a portfolio other than your job's 401k. Explain to him how uh, you are building your net worth rather than um, what you're spending your money on. And it's from a status that I created a couple of days ago. Then I went on to say, instead of talking about what qualities a man must have to make you happy and meet your needs, what qualities do you possess that make you a keeper? I mean, because being of value to somebody goes both ways, then the conversation can start on what you want to settle for. So again, and I see you, Keisha. Um, I don't want you guys to get hung up as we close on the makeup, because this honestly tells me where people mental state really is. When I post into social media, I'm really trying to find out who you are by what you respond to, what you get caught up and you hung up on. Um, and for a lot of women, they get hung up on this very conversation of when you say remove the makeup, weave, foundation, concealer. When I do that, I already know I got you because you're not really trying to get what I'm really trying to say. Honestly, that beginning part of my status is really the fluff. I mean it, but that's not the point of what I'm saying. The point of my whole status was, who are you and what do you bring to a man rather than it being the other way around all the time? Because that's all I hear all the time is what I won't settle for. He got to have this, do this, and do this. And when I'm looking at the women who are holding these discussions, In my mind, I'm saying to myself, you ain't really about shit. I mean, I don't see nothing about you that would make me interested in you. I mean, you know, I don't see it. I don't see nothing about you where it's like, I would love to pursue something with you, because all I'm hearing is what I always hear. I'm seeing what I always see. And so that's where they come from. And I'm gonna read this last comment, man, as we end and come into our final few minutes. Keisha LaShawn says this, so you're gonna get the last comment of today's show. Keisha says, the thing is, men take pills to improve their sex drive. Men wear hair dye to hide gray hair. Men wear certain shoes to make themselves look taller, to build confidence. Men wear hats to hide bald spots. The list goes on. And as I close, Miss Keisha LaShawn, you are missing the whole point of my status. You are still caught up in the fluff of my conversation. The point of my status is not about none of that. I am very aware that this is what men do. However, they come from two different places. Now, I will say this, and I'm going to let Diamond have the final words. I have made up in my mind that I will not talk to broke women. Yes, I said it. I will not speak with broke women. And Tammy, yes, because I started wearing hats and buying hats now. I like to wear hats on my show because I want to wear hats. I'm putting hats in my attire now. So again, like I said, I don't want to talk to broke women. What I mean by broke, I'm not talking about financially, but I'm talking about mentally broke. As we get older, and on my show, if I'm not mistaken, my co-host is 40 years plus. We are 40 years on this show. And I just think as you get older, you should level up. No, I don't want to talk to a broke woman. I don't. I don't want to talk to a broke woman who is negative. I don't want to talk to a broke woman who has a selfish mentality. No, I'm not going to talk to a broke woman who is not considered, who's not respectful. That's what I mean about broke. All that is what's broken with this person. Again, I'm just talking about a mindset. I'm not talking about a specific person and a specific look. With that being said, I'm going to turn it over to Diamond as we get up out of here.
Hey, so again, thank you guys for joining the show. It was definitely good conversation. Oh, I love the responses. Keep them coming. Y'all were awesome audience today, and we really appreciate that. Man, that dialogue was out of this world. So please come back next Sunday with that same attitude and that same dialogue and give us your input. Again, this is your girl Diamond all the way in San Antonio, Texas. And you can find me on Facebook at Yolanda Diamond Jones. You can also find me on Instagram as YOLO Expressions, where I do customized and personalized t-shirts, face masks, cups, candles, and jewelry. You name it, and I'll customize it for you. Thank y'all for joining us.
Hey, again, and thank everybody for tuning into the show. You can go to the Petty Crew page on Facebook. Please like us on Petty Crew. Please go over to our YouTube channel because I'm really trying to get that YouTube on the same level as my Facebook page. Shout out to our international viewers. Shout out to our local viewers as well. Again, thank everybody who is chiming in. We really appreciate it. We love the feedback. Please let me put this out here. So I don't want anybody to feel some type of way when they come off this show. We in no way want to offend anybody. We respect all comments and opinions because they do make for great conversations. With that being said, we will see you next Sunday. And matter of fact, I'm going to reach out to this Miss Keisha LaShawn, and we're going to have her on the show as well so we can see and hear from her personally, because hey, on this show, listen, if you would like to be on the show and you're just that interactive with us, we want to hear your thoughts about the stories in which we bring from week to week. Until next week, I love you guys and thank you for the support. We're out of here.